viable alternative, which is an inspirational blog where I share the wisdom insights gained along my path to become a very stronger version of myself. And if you want to read more on the site, you can click on the window where it says description, and when you click on it, you'll see a link that says www.theviablealternative.com. So the topic of this blog today is how we sabotage ourselves. I did a video on a similar topic sometime last year called Why It's So Hard to Change, and this is kind of like a variation of that or a continuation of that, and it's for those of us who are aware of the fact that we sabotage ourselves, those of us who are self-aware of the fact of our patterns and the things that we do in life, and we're beyond placing the responsibility on someone else, but we're actually enlightened enough to put the responsibilities on ourselves. And I know everybody else, most other people, when you're not at that level, you're just blaming other people in the outside world. You're not taking responsibility. So anyway, first thing, what do I mean when we say sabotage ourselves? Sabotaging yourself could be like you're the person that, for instance, now relationships. So just say in the past you found very crappy mates. You found mates that were either drug addicts or emotionally or mentally abusive. They're just a complete utter mess. They were losers, or they were just had no ambition or whatever, or liars, whatever, sociopaths, psycho, whatever. So you found those people in your life, and then just say now, after a stream of these unfortunate circumstances, you find someone that's actually together, and they're very good for you. They're very emotionally and mentally, physically and psychologically sturdy, stable. They have ambition, and they're just generally good people, and they're good for you. But you're with that person now, and so for some reason or another, you feel you're not worthy of that person, or just feels weird to be it just feels too good to be true, and so you wind up driving that person away. You meet this person values himself or herself very highly, and when they see you acting like sabotage relationship, they're like, screw this, I don't need this, I can get better, and they walk away, and then you just sabotage the whole relationship. Or you can be that person who just say in the same kind of vein that you what's bad for you. After dating so many debacles in your life, you finally know what's bad for you. But even when you know what's bad for you, you meet someone of that similar pattern or profile that you're used to dating, that used to wreak havoc in your life, and even though you know it's not right for you, you feel compelled to do it anyway. Or just say you're a business person, and every time you're about to earn a certain dollar amount, you wind up sabotaging the whole deal. Or you may be an actor or an actress or a musician, and every time you come upon your big break that will set you up nice, you wind up sabotaging that. You wind up ruining the opportunity, or sabotaging it. So this is what I mean by sabotaging behavior. That we engage in to get the results that are opposite from what we say that we want. And in my own situation, I don't know, this year, when I started this year, one of my full goals was to get myself and my life together financially, to overcome these limiting mindsets I have about money. And I'll tell you, this year, on many levels, I've been successful towards that. I'm not saying I've seen the money yet that I want, but I'll confirm that, or affirm that, or confess that, I'm worthy of it. And I've seen some amazing things happen this year. Really, quote unquote, they'll say miraculous things that surprised me. And even a couple of weeks ago, I was noting to myself just the way I was changing the way I looked at money, my mindset, and just the way I felt more like in alignment with the energy and flow of finances. And that was a couple weeks ago. But in the last week or two, I don't know, it's like I feel like I've backslid. I've started now engaging in the same old thought patterns, the same old limiting behaviors. I've now hit up against the same old obstacles I've been doing, and just feel like I've kind of regressed, and then with that comes the guilt of having done that. It's kind of like I feel like I'm living in the same and struggling with the same mindset that I thought I had overcome. And feeling guilty about this, I had, I brought this up to my therapist this past Wednesday. I go to my therapist every Wednesday at 11 a.m. And I was bringing this up to him, and he was telling me, dude, like, you're doing fine. Growth is not a straight line. It's a zigzag kind of. You grow at a certain point, and you drop, and then you rise again, you drop, and you zig this way and that way, and you go up again, So he said, what's happening to you is perfectly normal. Also, what he told me is that on the spiral of growth, as you go to another level, you're going to run into that same problem you dealt with in previous level on a new level, but with a different mindset. And you overcome that, and you go to the next level, and that problem is there again in a different way, in a different form. So, he just said it's part of the process. So, it's like, how do we and again, let me say this. As I observe myself doing this behavior, I feel so compelled to do it, even though it's total opposite of what I know is good for me. But there's this force, there's this compulsion to just engage in the same thing anyway, and it just feels so natural. Why? Why do we do things that we know are not good for us, that that will sabotage us in getting things we want? Why do we do it anyway? We're watching ourselves being led into the slaughterhouse, and we're just completely meekly allowing it to happen. Well, my answer is this, because I've now been in therapy for 3 years, and I've really gotten to delving into a lot of my, 3 years, the core of a lot of my behaviors, and seeing the foundations of what caused a lot of behaviors I do, including limited behaviors that I engage in. And I've learned several things. Well, where do I begin? So it's kind of I years back I read this book by Tony Robbins called Awaken the Giant Within. And in a part of the book, he talks about the fact how he liked to drive race cars, race around the track at crazy speeds, at crazy speeds. And he talks about the fact that when he was learning how to drive a race car, that you're given an instructor who sits in the passenger side of the seat, and he instructs you while you're racing around the track. Now the instructor tells you, while you're learning how to drive, he's like, listen, you're gonna get in the car, you're gonna be driving around the track, and feel great, and all of a sudden your car's gonna lose control, and you're gonna start to spin towards the wall. He said the natural tendency when you're spinning towards the wall is to take the steering wheel and spin away from the wall. But he said that is actually the wrong thing to do. The counterintuitive thing to do when you're spinning towards the wall is to actually spin towards the wall. Now, you're sitting there learning how to drive a race car around the track, and this instructor who's been doing this for 300,000 years, is telling you this. You're saying to yourself, oh yeah, it makes sense. You're an instructor. I hired to teach you how to do this, and I get it. When my car spins out of control, I drive towards the wall. Great. But now, what happens when you're in the car and your car spins out of control? Do you drive towards the wall? Hell no. You are triggered in such a way now that fear, whatever emotion is triggering you, compels you to drive away from the wall. And what happens is that the instructor then takes control of the wheel and tries to force you to drive towards the wall. But when you're in that moment, when you're triggered and all that logic has gone out the window, you're now fighting with the instructor with full force and momentum, fighting against him, turning the wheel away from the wall. There's this compulsion you feel to drive the thing away from the wall, even though logically they're not doing it. But when you get triggered by that action, when you feel that your life is in danger and threatened, and as your car spins out of control, you don't give a damn. You don't give all that logic goes out the window, and now you're fighting with full, like I said, with full strength. The instructor, you're fighting, and you're taking the steering wheel and fighting him, turning it against the wall. And that's the same thing that goes on in life, when we come upon these situations where we sabotage ourselves. We're walking on in life. We may have said 30,000 affirmations that I don't sabotage myself. I don't sabotage myself. Blah, 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 blah. I will get my next deal, or I will not kick out my next mate, You're walking through life. And then you get triggered. And when you get triggered, you now have that compulsion, that momentum, that force, the same force that that you're resisting if you're in a race car of resisting the driver from making you turn the wheel towards the wall. That same exact force is what's driving you to engage in that same sabotaging behavior that is preventing you from getting the things that you say you want in life. Why? Why does that happen? And what is going on? What the hell is going on? Well, it goes back to when we were 2, 3, 4 years old, and something happens, you know. Keep in mind that at 2, 3, 4 years old, we cannot fend for ourselves. We cannot go and fill out a resume and apply for a job because, you know, frankly, at 2, 3 years old, you don't even know how to read or write, you know. So, you know, you're dependent on your parents for life and death. And you know that. You know you're dependent on your parents for life and death. So as a child now, you have to figure out a way also with your immature mindset, because, you know, as a child, you know, obviously you're 2, 3 years old. You only have 24 months in this world, you know. You see the world in a very inexperienced, immature way. So with that limited or immature, callow mind, plus the fact you're depending on your parents for life or death, you know, you have to find a way to survive. You know, you have to find a way or make up a way to survive in such a household. Now, if the father's a psychopath, the mother's a psychopath, or they're mean or whatever, you know, whatever something happens, you know, or just the situations where we interpret stuff. We have a certain emotion that happened to us as a child, and we compensate for that with that emotion, whether it was terror or fear or feeling unwanted. We create behavior around ourselves to compensate for that behavior so that we can survive and make sense of the world that we live in. That emotion that we create as a child compels us to create the behavior that we engage in now to survive in this household in the world that we lived in, that we're helpless in. You know, like I said, we're dependent on parents. So when we're now 35 or 40 years old and we're acting like a psychopath in the relationship to the perfect person for you, you know, it may not make logical sense about why you be doing what you're doing at 40, 45 years old to a 40 or 45-year-old at that level, because shoot, why am I doing this when I don't want this? But to the 3 or 4 years old, it is perfectly and completely logical why you're doing it, you know? Completely logical. But the problem is that we're so far removed from that kid that had the emotion, created the behaviors that he did to survive. We're so far removed that we're not aware of the fact, or we generally so far we don't remember what caused the situation and the behavior, what we're doing, but that emotion is still there controlling us, and it's so strong that even though we know logically we're not supposed to do it, it is driving us to continue to engage in that same behavior. It is driving us. It's so strong and it seizes us, and we're not aware of what's driving us because it's so far removed from it, but we're still doing the same behavior that we engaged in when we created that emotion 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years ago. And let me tell you, I don't give a damn how many affirmations you say. I don't give a damn how many dissertations you write about what the right thing to do is. That emotion does not understand logic. It makes sense, but the emotion does not understand logic. You have to get to the core of emotion to start to change the behavior. This is why I say talk therapy does not work in many levels, you know. You get a grown-ass man or grown-ass woman, they lie in the psychologist's couch and they say, well, doc, you know, I don't know, I have this urge to step out and cheat on my wife and blah, blah, blah. And the psychologist, who's a talk therapist, says, well, sir, if you blah, 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 and blah, 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 and this and that, you know, you won't do this anymore, blah, 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 you know. And it makes all sense. But the fact of the matter is, it's just freaking talk. You're not reaching the emotion that created the behavior. And you can talk to the cows come home. If you do not reach that exact emotion that caused the behavior, you will be doing that behavior to your grave, you know? And like I said, you can throw all these wonderful logic and affirmations of, I am a man worthy of success, and I am a man worthy of a mate. But, again, it's like pouring syrup on a turd, you know? Sure, the turd now has syrup on it, but it's still a turd, you know? It's like, in the movie Juice, Samuel L. Jackson said this quote. He said, Just because you pour syrup on shit don't make pancakes. And so, yeah, um, your emotion that you created, yeah, you can throw all the sprinkle of wonderful things in it, but the emotion is still there and it's still driving your behavior. And this is how we sabotage ourselves in life. We have this core emotion that was created years ago, and we react to it. And no matter how we try to resist it, it's so strong because it feels so natural, because we've been doing it so long, because it's such a natural part of us. It's a natural part of us. So yeah, if you don't sabotage your relationship, you'll be happy. Or if you don't sabotage that business deal, you'll get a nice house and be financially free and probably get along with your spouse or made a lot better. But the fact of the matter is, that emotion is much more familiar. It's much stronger. It goes much deeper. So until you're aware of it, it will win every single time. It will win every single time. This is how sometimes you're doing something, you're like, why am I doing this? Well, I know it's wrong, but I'm doing it anyway, because that emotion is driving you. That emotion is driving you, and this is how you, and this is, and it will lead you to the same behavior that's messing you up over and over again. It's messing you up for the last 40 years of your life, or 30, or whatever, however the hell older you are. So, it's, in my own life, one of the reasons why I went to therapy was, number one, was, again, my money issues. And over the years, I learned that the cause of my money issues is in relation to my father. I played small for my father to protect his ego. And, that coupled with his erratic behavior caused me to create a certain way of being to survive in that, erratic household. And also, on top of that, as a child, I remember seeing my father as like second to God, you know what I mean? Because, he's not a tall person, but he was taller than me as a child when I'm 2 feet tall. And, he had money and blah, blah, blah. So I looked up to him as a god. How could this guy be wrong? So, I engaged in certain limiting behavior to please him. And the emotion for that was loyalty. I just felt like a strong sense of loyalty and just a straight desire for his approval. So now, you get my old ass years later, sabotaging myself and blah, blah, blah. And, why am I doing this and this and that when I know it's not like, beneficial for me? And the fact of the matter is, I just felt I need to be loyal to my father. That is really it. Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me now, but as a 5-year-old, it totally makes complete sense. I took a certain pride. I took a certain, a pride of like, I am being loyal to him by being small and messing up my life. It's like a satisfaction, a deep satisfaction I got. And that overrode any other desire I had to be successful. So I encourage you to look into your own individual life. Take a look. I mean, obviously, there's tons of behaviors you do to sabotage yourself. I'm sure it runs a gamut of your life. And, you have to dig in the past and get to the core emotion. And once you start seeing that, hey, I'm not a therapist. I don't have all the solutions to your damn life, So you maybe need to get a therapist. But what I'm saying is that at least now you start understanding why you do what you do, and you don't feel like you're fighting blind anymore. Because one of the worst things to happen to your life is when you're doing stuff and you just feel so helpless. You don't know where it's coming from. You feel helpless to the situation. You feel helpless to what you're doing, and it's like if your man is emasculating, or if you're just a general person, man or woman, it's dehumanizing, when you don't have control or understanding of why you do what you do. So hopefully this gives light so that you can start making the change, so you can start taking control of your life. This is why I'm in therapy. This is why I've been going for the last 3 years, is now to undo the behavior. And it's about getting in touch with the emotion. The emotion is how we sabotage ourselves. We get in a situation, we're triggered, the emotion bubbles up, and we're completely, utterly now in 5-year-old mode, engaged in behavior to survive in that household. Screw paying your mortgage on time. Screw saving your marriage. Screw, paying off your debts. That doesn't really matter anymore. It's just all about you and your household with your crazy ass parents trying to make it survive in a crazy world, where you're dependent on your parents for everything. So this is how we sabotage ourselves. And I hope this helps. I hope this gives you light on getting control of your life. If you want to read more on my site, go to www.theviablealternative.com. You can also follow me on Twitter, TheViableAlt. If you like what I have to said in this video, please like and share it to others you feel will benefit. And also please subscribe to my YouTube channel. So this is The Viable Alternative. Take care. God bless. And peace.